All right.
Yo.
Coming to you live from Philly. It's the Paulie Tony Fusco NFL Reaction Show.
Yo.
As always, Paulie Fusco here with Tony Fusco and Tony. Huge win on Thursday. Eagles taking week one against the Cowboys to nobody's surprise. But of course, controversy surrounding the game, the Jalen Carter spitting incident. You know, people have a lot to say about this. Of course, they're all wrong. We're going to clear it all up, get to the facts, tell you what really happened. But, you know, you got to make sure before all that, you hit like and subscribe on the YouTube. You follow us on the pod. That way you get all these reaction episodes right when they post, you know, which happens whenever we feel like it. You know, sometimes yes, sometimes not, whatever. Anyway, look, we don't work around your schedule, okay? So anyway, we're going to stay on schedule now. There's a lot to get to. You ready, Tony?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get right into our NFL reaction.
NFL reaction.
All right, first off, obviously the big story, Jalen Carter getting thrown out of the game early for, you know, quote-unquote spitting on Dak Prescott. Okay, you know, people, they've watched the footage over and over. They're jumping to conclusions left and right as usual. But, you know, just because, you may have seen, fluid leaving Jalen's mouth and traveling onto Dak's face, well, that doesn't necessarily mean, that he should be punished.
Exactly.
Isn't that right, Tony?
First of all, why isn't anyone blaming Dak here? He was the one who spit first. You know, people are saying he aimed his spit at the ground, but look at the law. If someone shoots a gun but doesn't shoot at you but near you, the law says that's still illegal. That's a warning shot. It's clear Dak Prescott fired off a warning spit. So by my legal analysis, Jalen Carter was within his constitutional rights to self-defense and also spit defense.
Just terrific legal analysis there, Tony. And, also we're hearing that Jalen Carter isn't even the person most responsible for this, right, Tony?
No, my sources tell me this was all a misunderstanding. After Dak spit on the ground, someone else told Jalen to say something back and said tit for tat. But because it was so loud in the stadium, all Jalen heard was not tit for tat, but spit on Dak. Again, just a simple, clear misunderstanding.
Just a simple misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's all it was.
And, by the way, are we even sure that Jalen Carter was spitting?
That's a great question,
Because, how do we know Jalen Carter doesn't just have a speech impediment?
Exactly.
Because I know a lot of people who spit when they talk. Don't you, Tony?
Listen, how do we know that he didn't simply say, nice play, and that the PL sound caused the spit to come out? I spit just as I said that right now. Does that mean I should be thrown off the show?
No.
Of course.
Exactly. Great point, Tony. Look at baseball, right? Everybody in the whole game, they're spitting all the time.
That's all they do.
If they threw out people for spitting, well, there would be no players. There would be no baseball.
Exactly. And think about DNA tests, too. You have to spit in order to get DNA. So if we shame people for spitting, then there'll be no DNA tests, and then you'll have a bunch of criminals going around getting away with murder, and you won't even be able to walk down the street without getting killed. So if you ask me, spitting is what's protecting all of society from total mayhem.
Just such valuable perspective there, Tony. And, another thing these people morons are saying, they're saying that it was stupid of Jalen Carter to get thrown out so early in the game because he's a star player. But that was actually the right move when you break it down, wasn't it, Tony?
Absolutely. The Eagles were playing the Cowboys. They don't need all their star players. They could have won that game with the practice squad. Frankly, it was so smart of Jalen Carter to get ejected. He knew that next week we play the Chiefs. So this way, he can be rested, even though that's an easy game too.
Just spot-on analysis there, Tony. And, well, let's move to the other Jalen in this game, Jalen Hurts, who had 2 rushing touchdowns. But, of course, this brings out the idiots out of the woodwork there to say that, they're saying Jalen Hurts is once again relying too much on his feet.
Please.
But we told you there's a clear explanation for that. his arm was tired from carrying the Super Bowl trophy all off season, right, Tony?
Of course. We saw this before with Nick Foles. He also struggled after winning the Super Bowl because his arm was so tired from holding up the Lombardi trophy. And he also had to lift some other heavy equipment, if you catch my drift.
Absolutely, that Tony. And, we got a lot of blowback last week because, we said that we picked Jalen Hurts first in our fantasy draft. Well, because a lot of people, they say that you should draft a running back first in fantasy. Yeah,
please.
Well, that's why we drafted Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
I mean, what do we always say we believe in, Tony?
Position fluidity. There you go. Exactly. We don't think a player should be known just by the position they were assigned in college. Nope. They should have the freedom to experiment with other position identities. And that's why we support our trans quarterback / running back.
Just so beautifully said that, Tony. And, now to the Cowboys side of the game. The Cowboys receiver, CeeDee Lamb. Well, he's taking a lot of heat because he dropped a lot of passes in the loss. But, Tony, you can easily see what went wrong here, can't you?
Of course. It's easy to see why CeeDee Lamb dropped those passes. He was so surprised that Dak actually threw the ball to him and not the Eagles defenders. I mean, we saw that last season when Mark Andrews dropped a pass in the end zone from Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews was like, wait, I can't believe Lamar's actually being clutch in the playoffs and not totally sucking like usual. And then he dropped the ball as anyone would.
As anyone would, of course.
Of course.
By the way, another thing, Tony. What's going on with this stopping games because of lightning?
Oh, my God.
How soft has our country become?
Unbelievable.
I don't remember them stopping games due to lightning in the 80s and 90s. Do you?
No, of course not. They would have played through it because they were tough back then. I mean, who can forget the famous thunderstorm game down in Miami in 1986 when the Dolphins and the Jets played a hurry-up offense the entire second half because they were afraid of getting killed. And in the end, only a handful of people wound up getting hospitalized and or dying. But, at least the game ended at a reasonable hour so everybody could go home and get their 8 hours of sleep.
Just another side of how terrible and crumbling our society's become. Anyway.
Absolutely.
If you saw it on TikTok or Instagram the other night, because we're sure you follow us there.
Of course.
Right? You wouldn't not do that.
No.
You're not that dumb, hopefully.
No.
Anyway, Thursday night, before the game, all right, it was before the game. You could check the timestamp or whatever.
Go
we
look
put
at
out
it.
our official Eagles season prediction, already going viral right now as we speak for its clear 100% accuracy. Anyway, we're going to do it right here on the show, okay? Just so you can see it, right?
Exactly.
So you don't come back
see
to us after the end of the season and go, I didn't know you said all that.
Here.
All right, so here we go. It's our official 2025 Eagles season prediction. Tony, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, Week 1 against the Cowboys,
Just another easy, predictable win.
All right, well then, Week 2 against the Chiefs.
I've seen this one before. It's like a rerun. Win.
All right, Week 3 versus the Los Angeles Rams.
All I heard was loss by the Rams. Win for the Eagles.
All right, Week 4 at the Bucks.
We're going to cut off their Todd Bowles. Win.
Okay, Week 5 versus Denver.
I like Denver here to lose. Eagles win.
Okay, Week 6 at the Giants.
The game's at MetLife, where the Giants will have met death. Win.
Okay, Week 7 at the Vikings.
They're going to yell skull, as in, my skull hurts from getting bashed in. Win.
All right, Week 8 at home versus the Giants.
Win. By forfeit.
Okay, Week 9 is a bye.
Win for us. Rest and relaxation is always good.
All right, Week 10 at Green Bay.
Oh, they got Micah Parsons. Doesn't matter. Win.
Week 11 versus the Lions.
We'll win, but our car will probably also get stolen. So win, but a sad win.
Yup. All right, Week 12 at the Cowboys.
Dak will be injured by then, so Joe Milton will be starting, which means the game will be a lot closer, but still, win.
Yup, week 13 versus the Bears.
We'll win by 7 touchdowns.
Week 14 at the Chargers.
Jim Harbaugh's still trying to figure out how to cheat in the NFL, but he won't have figured it out by then. Eagles win.
Week 15 versus the Raiders.
Kenny Pickett will be a formidable foe, but having a Super Bowl winning QB like him isn't enough. Eagles win.
All right, week 16 at the Commanders.
This is a tough one. For the Commanders, of course. Eagles win.
Yup, week 17 at Buffalo.
This will be a tough environment to play in. For the Bills, of course. Win.
Okay, and finally, week 18 versus the Commanders.
We're probably going to be resting our starters by then, so this is going to be a close one. We'll win, but only by 27 points.
And there you go. Yeah. It's our official 2025 Eagles season prediction. 17-0. Book it. There you go.
Well, 18-0 if you count the bye week.
Great point there, Tony. 18-0. Book it. Can't wait for all of that. There you go. In fact, you should go bet that right now. You'll thank us later. And you know where you can spend all the money you won? At our merch store.
Yeah.
You know, you go click the link in this.
Wait, hold on.
Are you kidding me?
I'd like to link you to the back of my car and drag you.
Yeah.
What?
What do you want?
You said Jalen Carter may have spit on Dak because he has a speech impediment?
Yeah, bro.
Explains it all, bro.
Yeah.
No, I've heard Jalen Carter talk. He doesn't have an impediment. He deserved to be ejected.
Oh, yeah, well, you deserve to be ejected from living.
Yeah. And you want to know the worst ejection anyone's ever seen? When you came out of your mom. Oh,
no, that's
done.
enough. One
that's
and done.
Out of you.
It's a reaction
Shut
show.
Up.
Keep it tight.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got big news. Coming up this week, Tony, for our weekly show, Nick Foles called us. You know, he said he's very busy. You probably can see why. You're probably fielding offers from the Cowboys. So we got ahead of it, Tony, with our new guest booker who just made a huge booking. Get this. Andy Reid will be joining us next week. There you go. Looking forward to that. Hey, don't forget, you subscribe, right? Because you don't want to miss anything. You like us, you rate and review.
Rate and
on
review.
Apple
5 stars.
And of course, great job as always, Tony.
Same to you, Paulie. Another flawless show.
There you go. We'll see you people next week.
See ya.